We appreciate Coach coming out and being patient with us here. But he's back, and the microphone is good. What does this mean? I mean, you've done a bunch of these, and obviously going back to your own playing days and the different stops along the way, how has this evolved? What does it mean for a program?
It means a lot. Obviously, when you have so many people from the NFL like we have here today, it's a great testament for the young men in our program and what we're doing, that we've got so many representatives, position coaches, and general managers and scouts and whoever that are here watching our guys. And it's a huge day for them, and as this is just just going into my third year. So a lot of these guys were here when I got here, like Eric Douglas and like Javon Gwynn, that I'm so happy for and so proud of, because Zach Pickens, because they gave so much to us. And then there's guys out here today like Christian Beal-Smith and Devontae Reed and Nate Atkins, for example, that we brought here. So it's great seeing them being able to chase their dreams, and it's an exciting day for everybody involved with the program. And I appreciate you guys being here, man. This is great exposure for us as well. It's a NCAA rule that we're not allowed to have high school recruits here for this, right, but we can certainly bring it to them with 107.5 The Game being here today. So all these high school prospects across the area that are listening to this broadcast, you're getting a live play-by-play of what pro days actually like.
Okay, so tell me how the process goes for you as the head coach. Like you said, you've coached these guys, and now they're going into that next step of, and all of them, and this, they have people, mm-hmm, right? They have, whether it's, coaches to help coach them up to run the 40 better.
Yep.
All sorts of different techniques and nutritions. You got PR people, and you got whether it's agent or representatives or whatever. So how do you as a coach navigate that with them now that they're moving away from being a Gamecock, but they're still your guys? Do you talk to them about this stuff? Do you give them a little advice? Do you kind of just back up, if I'm here if you need me? How do you handle it?
Good question. Kind of like I'm here if you need me. And for a lot of these guys, this is the first time that I've seen them literally since maybe the bowl game or even after the Clemson game. For a lot of these guys, as soon as the regular season was over, or as soon as they decided not to play in a bowl game, they were automatically training with some of these people you're talking about. So I haven't seen Zach Pickens since he decided to not play in the bowl game. Then there's guys like Brad Johnson and Nate Atkins that have been here for a couple weeks working out, and I've seen them. But just to be able to, reconnect with them is great, because we care about them so much as people. So to be able to spend time with them today is awesome. And then I know they're talking to their, our position coaches that coached them in college, and they're keeping in touch from that standpoint. And I'm doing the same. When those guys were at the Combine last week, I'm, texting them, wishing them luck. And then a lot of it for me now is just the conversations that I'm having with NFL teams to help these guys. Before I came downstairs, there was a general manager in my office that wanted to talk about some of our players specifically in a little bit of more of a one-on-one role. I was on the phone with a NFL offensive coordinator yesterday that called and was asking about, one of our guys. So really just to be able to give the NFL the feedback they want, players want to be here to support them, and whatever they need, they know we're here for.
You mentioned a guy like Nate Atkins, and I'm going to single him out. I know you've got all these guys that you care for and want to be successful, but I'll use him, I think, as an example of a guy who really developed so well, Shane, and maybe caught people by surprise. I won't ask you that question, but seriously, at first you're just like, well, he'll be out there to block a little bit. He turned into a real weapon for you guys.
Absolutely.
And so what does that say about what he can do now?
Well, I just told, I don't know if this guy appreciated it, but the NFL general manager I was meeting with, I told him that I think he's a complete idiot if they don't draft Nate Atkins, and because he's everything that their organization is about. And you're right. We knew when we brought Nate in, we brought him in to be another tight end that could give us a little bit more of a physical blocking presence at the point of attack. I did not know, should have, what a weapon he was going to be on special teams, what a weapon he was going to be in the passing game. He doesn't wow you necessarily when you look at him or watch him, but the guy just makes plays. He knows how to get open. He catches the ball. We all know about the catch he made against Clemson, and just a really, really solid, tough football player. There's no question that when he got hurt in the bowl game against Notre Dame, that really, really affected us in a lot of ways. But he's tough, he's smart, he's dependable, he's a great young man, and I really truly believe that he'll get onto a roster and be able to hang in there for a long time, because he's everything that those NFL teams and any football team wants, from a character standpoint and ability.
we watch how this combine thing has evolved, where people actually sit at home and take days off to watch people get weighed in their underwear. It's kind of a weird thing where we've gone with this. But when you see the draft people saying, well, that 40 times shot him up a draft board. Do you just sit back and go, why don't you just flip on the tape and watch how he plays against, this guy or that guy? And yeah, it's really great that Anthony Richardson has a wonderful vertical leap, but how's his footwork and how's his accuracy and how's he process? Do you laugh about some of the silliness, or do you go, no, okay, I get you guys are a little overboard, but I understand it to a point? Where are you at?
I get the perspective part of it, because we're probably just as guilty of it as college coaches, that, we watch a high school tape on somebody, then he goes to a combine or a camp, and a senior in high school runs a 4.3, and all of a sudden, oh my God, so I don't want to be hypocritical, because I'm probably guilty of it in a lot of ways too. But it goes back, when we're evaluating high school prospects, yes, all that's important, but we watch the tape and make our own evaluations, and it should be the same thing for these guys. Nate Atkins, given the play-by-play, just ran a 40. I don't know what he ran, but it doesn't take away whether he ran 4.8 or 4.5, what kind of football player he is. So I think sometimes you can certainly overthink it in a lot of ways, and I think you got to be great, and I don't want to speak for the NFL teams, but making sure you don't all of a sudden change your evaluation of somebody because of what he did at the NFL Combine in, underwear or whatever as you refer to this.
Underwear Olympics. Shane Beamer with us, Gamecock head football coach. We're at Pro Day inside the Spurrier indoor facility on USC's campus. All around here in the next couple of days, Coach, you got spring ball going. You got Dowell Loggins coming in to run this offense now. Spencer is happy. You've got a lot of weapons coming back. Biggest thing that you would like to know about your team maybe when we hit that spring game next month?
Good question. There's a lot of question marks. I mean, we've got a lot of key pieces coming back, but there's a lot of newness as well. We had a team meeting this morning, and I had everybody stand up that tomorrow will be their first practice that they've ever been through at South Carolina. And there's a lot of players and new staff members that tomorrow will be their first practice. So there's a lot of newness for one, and then there's a lot of returning production. Spencer, Juice, Leggett, on and on and on. But there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, there's 3 offensive linemen that were starters for us last season that are working out at Pro Day. Yep. Who are our 5 offensive linemen, and then the people behind them as well. We obviously, our defensive line is going to look completely different than what it did last year. We've had some guys move on. Zach Pickens is here participating in Pro Day. So what does that defensive line group look like? 2 corners that were starting for us last year, Darius and Cam, Pro Day today, who separates themselves there. So every year there's position battles, but I think maybe this year more than any other, a lot of unknowns position, not so much the battles, but really just who it's going to be. So I'm excited to see that. So to answer your question, coming out of spring practice and having an idea of who our running backs are, who our offensive linemen are, and our defensive linemen in particular.
Now, how much do you weigh in the spring in those decisions? Because last time I heard, there's this thing called a transfer portal. Yeah. You might not have heard of it.
I've heard of it a lot.
And obviously there's going to be another wave of it. Mm-hmm. How much do you balance, because again, this is a new world for everybody, how much do you balance what you see in the spring in how you're going to attack the transfer portal? Basically, can you see something, let's just pick running back just for fun. Mm-hmm. Let's say you see something in the spring where you go, well, we were going to really heavily investigate the transfer portal possibly for running back, but I saw some things in the spring where we're still going to look, but maybe I feel better. Can the spring do that for you?
Absolutely. You go into it certainly knowing that these are positions that maybe you're not quite where you need to be at from a depth standpoint. You go into spring practice with that already in mind, and then spring practice either solidifies those feelings that we're not where we need to be and we need to go get better at that position. Or, this guy was a pleasant surprise. We really weren't expecting a whole lot from him right now, but he performed really, really well. So, yeah, that's part of it. And you're constantly evaluating. You got to keep in mind a lot of our incoming freshmen are here right now, but a lot of them aren't. So you know that you've got those guys coming as well. But certainly from a depth standpoint, you want to have a better that there's going to be a window. And the other thing, too, you got to keep in mind, I hope we don't lose anybody off our current program, but when that portal window opens, that's available for guys in our own program. If they choose that there's a better situation for them somewhere, they can explore it. And I hope they don't, but you always have to kind of keep that in mind as well. So you never stop looking and really on May 1st is really when you truly know who is going to be on your team that year. And it's really not even that, because the portal window closes, but guys, if they've entered the portal, you could still bring them into it. But at least you know when May 1st hits, you're not going to lose anybody else off your team, because if they're not already in the portal, they can't go in it after what I believe it's May 1st. So really until then, it's I go back when I was an assistant coach somewhere. I went and visited the Pittsburgh Steelers one May during like OTAs and mini camps. And I'll never forget Bruce Arians. Mike Tomlin was the head coach. Bruce Arians was the offensive coordinator. And I sat in on the offensive team meeting, and Bruce Arians came in and in very colorful language basically said, guys, this ain't the bleeping Pittsburgh Steelers. This is just a bunch of dudes trying to make the team. And it's always resonated with me. And not that that's what that is, but there's still a lot of moving parts. And yes, these are the South Carolina Gamecocks, but I don't think we're truly going to know what all those pieces look like until we get to, really the summertime.
Speaking of May, we've asked you before about schedule strength, and obviously that's a topic right now. How much sleep does Shane Beamer lose about what his schedule's going to look like in 2 years?
I lose sleep on a lot of stuff, Jay, but right now that's not one of them. Worry about what you can control. We got a lot of work to do before we get to 2024. I mean, you knew when I took the job, I knew that we were always going to play one of the toughest schedules in America, because we were playing in the SEC, plus our in-state rivals. Obviously, we know what they've done, right, and the program they have. So that's 9 games right away. When I took the job, I knew what I was getting into. And then you had some of the future opponents coming up that we have, like Miami, like Virginia Tech, and I don't even know who else beyond that.
NC State, Chapel Hill.
Yep, yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
UNC this year.
Yeah.
And then you add the potential of a 9th conference game. It's definitely not getting any easier. But, as you look around this indoor facility, and our core values are up here, and compete is one of them. So if you want to compete against the best and coach against the best, this is certainly the place to do it. But, people above me, Coach Tanner and Greg Sankey and the presidents, they're making those decisions. That's above my pay grade. And I truly mean it. There's a lot to worry about right now or think about, but we haven't gotten to that point yet.
Okay, so I'll flip back to December real quick. All you got is the early signing period. You got a transfer portal. Obviously, NIL is hovering around. Oh, you got a bowl game to prepare for.
Yep.
Oh, who's going to play my bowl game? Who's not?
Yep.
So really, there was nothing much happening in December. It was kind of a lame time. You probably caught up on Hulu.
Yeah, very slow.
I'm guessing. So if I could make Shane Beamer the grand poobah of the coaching calendar to set it for you and your brethren, what is the first thing Shane Beamer would do to fix what seems to be now a clunky setup in regard to the calendar for the football year?
Calendar for the football year, it's a great question. And there's a lot of things that I think I would tweak. One, making sure we have dead periods built in February is a dead period where recruits can't visit. And most of last part of June, first few weeks of July, which I love high school prospects being able to visit, but I think we maybe need to add some more dead periods in there, not because I all of a sudden want more time off, but to be able to get around my own team. That's the biggest challenge for me is, we played that bowl game against Notre Dame. The next week and a half was trying to solidify a high school signing class and the transfer portal, keeping our own players here and trying to bring some guys in. And then these guys come back on campus, and then we hit the road recruiting for 3 weeks. And I feel like it's February, middle of second week of February before we're back here around our own players. So I think we can be better from that standpoint. And then the transfer portal, we've benefited from it. There's a lot of positive to it. One thing I would probably change is to make that window smaller, particularly in December. And I know why we did it. It's because of bowl games and NFL decisions. I mean, there's a lot of factors at play, like you just mentioned. But that portal's open for 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah.
December and January. I don't know if a guy's leaving our program, I think he knows it. He doesn't need 6 weeks to decide. And there's a lot of stuff that can happen in those 6 weeks, tampering and everything else as well. So to me, I would say, okay, the portal is going to be open for these X number of days. It's a smaller window, and then I think that would help better. Just you know who your roster is going to be, and you're not constantly wondering. We had a SEC head coaches meeting about 2 weeks ago in Birmingham, and we had one SEC head coach, I won't say his name, but he spoke up in the meeting, and we were talking about the calendar, and he's like, look, My only request is, like, can I just enjoy Christmas next year? I just want to be able to have a Christmas. And he's got a point because, on Christmas you're worried about because the portal window's open and you're trying to get ready for a bowl game and there's a lot going on, and Christmas should be the priority on Christmas, and it wasn't.
That's fair. That's fair.
Did the room crack up on for that one?
As uptight and serious as head coaches are in that room, in those meetings, that one certainly brought some smiles. But there was also some empathy with the guy because, you know what? I get it, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We'll get you out of here on this and let you go back to these guys. Bill McDonald was on with us on Friday.
Uh-oh.
And
I knew you'd get to this.
No. And we thank you for listening about a month or so ago when we were talking about maybe what happens back here. Well, Coach Billy Mack laid it out how that place is ready. Yeah. So I'm just saying that we're advocating for this. So whatever it is that we need to do, and if you haven't heard, Carolina owns a lot of land back here behind this building we're in. They've got the golf facility already, and we're trying to get everybody a 27-hole golf course built as quickly as possible.
No question. Fortunately, we've got some very forward-thinking people around here that have great visions in mind, and excited to see where this project leads and what comes out of it as well. I thought you were going to say you and Billy Mack got into a discussion about my golf swing and everything else back there as well.
Not yet.
I'll tell you this.
I know how good you are, though. So I'm not going to let you downplay.
You saw me when I was coaching for Spurrier. I was playing a lot more golf when I was coaching here with Coach Spurrier.
Well, I'll tell you this. This is a little thing maybe in recruiting battles. Coach McDonald told us that he actually played against the Duke golf coach, and the winner got to keep recruiting the kid. The loser had to step out.
Ooh.
That might be something for you later on. Put in your head.
But you left one thing out. They played at Sawgrass.
Oh, wow.
So, and Bill said he birdied 16 and 17. So he birdied 17.
That's awesome.
But then he three-putted 18, and he lost the round.
Man.
He was
awesome.
And he had to call the kid.
He told the kid.
He had to call the kid and say, I can't recruit you anymore.
So I don't know what that would be like for you and some other guy.
I'm not sure me and Kirby are having this conversation on that.
Let's do like Shane and Kirby in a long drive, just to see what happens.
I like it. That's motivation for me to get better at golf too. So I think this could be a win-win.
But Bill said it's very doable. So
there's no question. There's a lot of land back there. I'm excited to see what happens.
Hey man, thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
I'm glad you got a vacation for a little bit too.
No question.
For you, man. Maybe next year you get another one.
Maybe so.
Maybe you'll enjoy Christmas.
Yeah,
let's see how it goes.
So, no doubt. Always will. Appreciate you guys and all you do. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
That is head coach Shane Beamer. A lot more to do from Pro Day as the halftime show continues.
You do us a solid, get a picture with this crazy guy.
Yep.